Welcome to this instructional video on scorekeeping for the Windsor Chess Challenge. The Windsor Chess Challenge is the largest event of its kind in Canada. Each year, over 80 schools and 1,400 students participate in this two-day event. We rely heavily on volunteer scorekeepers to keep the action going. This video will instruct you on how to become the most efficient scorekeeper. All chess tournaments are divided into small groups called sections. In Windsor, we make sections of between 16 and 18 players from the same grade. We have approximately 44 sections each day. A scorekeeper is responsible only for his or her own section. A section runs like a mini tournament. Each section will have a first, second, and third place finisher and is independent of the others. The duties of a scorekeeper are to supervise a section of up to 18 students during the day. You do not need to know how to play chess to be an efficient scorekeeper. During the day, you will look after your group of players as though they were your class for the day. They will ask you for permission to go to the washroom, and you will tell them when to take a break and when to go for lunch and return for play. Washrooms are located in the hallway outside, and there is a snack bar in each room. We have a room manager in each hall whose job is to help you. The manager will circulate throughout the room. If you have a pairing question, you can call the room manager. All arbiters and managers wear red Chess Challenge shirts. The dress code for the day is casual. Cell phone use is discouraged as you must focus on your section. There is a lot of activity that requires your complete attention. The scorekeeper is responsible for determining which players are paired for each of the 8 games they will play during the day. When a game is completed, the scorekeeper records the score and totals the points for each player. Then the scorekeeper makes new pairings for the next game. The students are very enthusiastic, and it's more likely you will have to get them to try to slow down. If there is a chess question during the day, we have several chess arbiters in the room. A player simply needs to raise a hand and a chess arbiter will come over and answer a question. For this video, we will only focus on one section of players. Players sit across from each other at one of 9 chessboards. You will sit at the end of the section with a space to lay out your scorecards. All players wear a name tag that will have their player number, grade, and section. The name tag corresponds to the scorecard that the scorekeeper has. If a player comes to your table and there is not a card to match, it is very likely that they are at the wrong table. Scorecards are divided into sections. At the top is the player's name, player number, school, and code number. On the left side is the list of game numbers. Each player will play 8 games during the tournament. Next is the against column to record the player number of their opponent. The results column is to record the player's score for the game, and the final column is the total so far. To begin the day, we will announce the very first pairings. Player 1 will be paired with player 2. Player 3 will be paired with player 4. Player 5 will be paired with player 6, and they will continue to be paired in that pattern until all players are matched. On your table, lay out your cards as though there is an imaginary line running across the table from left to right. Above the imaginary line are the pairs of cards for games that are currently being played. Below the imaginary line are the single cards for players who are waiting to be paired. At a glance, you can see which games are currently being played and which players are waiting for their next game. To pair your first game, match cards 1 and 2. In the against column, write the player number of the opponent. On card 1, you would write opponent 2. On card 2, you would write opponent 1. When you have recorded the opponent's numbers, place the pair of cards above the imaginary line on your table. Continue recording opponents' numbers and pairing players until all players have been assigned. If you have a player who does not have an opponent, you can pair unmatched players in the first round with each other if you have a partner for them. In the event that you still have a single unassigned player, that player will wait until the first completed game. Then you will pair them with the loser of the first game. To score a game, both players will come to the scorekeeper and report the result of the game. Make sure both players agree on how the game ended. We award points based on how the game finished. Players who win the game receive 1 point. Players who tie or draw each receive half a point. And the player who lost the game receives 0 points. In this example, player 2 won the game. You would write 1 point in the score column. For player 1, you would record a 0. Total that in the farthest right column and move those cards below your imaginary line so they can await their next game. Players can sit quietly until their next game assignment. As more players finish and report their games, you will have more cards moving below the imaginary line of players who are waiting for their next opponent. To match players with their next opponent for Game 2, the goal is to pair players with the same score whenever possible. That is, winners with winners and losers with losers. Players who won the first game will be paired with another player who won the first game. Players who lost their first game will be paired with others who lost the first game. Players who tied will be paired with another player with the same score. Again, write the number of the opponent in the second column for each player and move the pair of cards above the imaginary line. As the tournament progresses, pairing becomes more challenging, so we have pairing rules. Players may not play an opponent twice. They must play someone whose score is close to their own, and we try not to pair players from the same school. As players finish their games, move their cards below the imaginary line. Sort them from highest to lowest score from left to right. That will make pairing easier for the next game. Again, always check to ensure that they haven't played each other when making your pairings. Do not rush to pair players for the next game if you don't have a quality match for them. It is okay to wait a few more minutes to allow more players to finish their games and get a better match for the next pairing. Children will be anxious to start playing their next game, but don't let them crowd your work area or pressure you to let them play before you can make good pairings. Always check to make sure they haven't played each other before by looking down the against column for the other player's number. If they have played each other, they cannot be matched again. During the day, we will have 2 scheduled breaks. The first is after the end of Game 3. As each Game 3 comes to an end, send those players off for their break. The second break is after the completion of Game 6. We will make announcements over the microphone to remind everyone when to return to their tables. You are permitted to visit the snack bar and have lunch. We have a special express lane for scorekeepers to allow you to return to your section quickly. You must stay with your group throughout the day, so if you need to leave the table for a bathroom break or to purchase snack food items, raise your hand to have a volunteer cover your table while you are briefly away. By the start of Game 7, some players will be in medal contention. Make your very best pairings for Games 7 and 8, as it will decide the first, second, and third place finishers in your section. Once the players have completed all 8 games, you will award medals to the players at your table. Medals are given to players with the 3 highest scores and any player tied with the third place finisher. A website and password will be given to you in the afternoon of the tournament. Navigate your phone's web browser to the website and enter your section number and your password. The list of your players will appear on the screen. Record their scores in the space beside their names and submit their scores. The system will determine the first, second, and third place finishers for your section. One thing to note is that not every section will have the same medal award criteria. Since each group of 18 players is independent of the others, it is possible for the highest score in one section to be a perfect 8 games. However, in a different section, the highest score might be 7 points. Both will win a gold medal as the highest scorer in their respective section, so be aware that children will often challenge you because they may score the same as another player in a different section, but not receive the same medal. If you have any questions about how medals are awarded, there will be a guideline sheet provided with your package. Players who receive a medal or score 6 points or more are eligible to come to our playoffs in April. Playoff invitation flyers will be included in your package and will be handed out by you to the players who have won medals or scored 6 points or higher. This is a very prestigious tournament for our players, so make the awarding of medals a bit of a ceremony. Encourage the other children to applaud and gently console those children who didn't receive a medal, as we often see children very disappointed if they didn't win. When all of your scores have been entered, sort the scorecards in numerical order from 1 to 18. Locate any missing cards. Players cannot take their scorecard home with them, as they are used to resolve any disputes after the event. Players or their parents may photograph their scorecard, but it must not be separated from your package. Put the scorecards in the envelope provided with any leftover material and return it to the manager's desk in your hall. At that point, your day with the Windsor Chess Challenge is complete, and we are very grateful for your help. Thank you.